Direct from Sweden, we bring you Death and Vanilla. Their new album, Flicker, is just about to be released, and so we spoke to Marleen, Nilsson, and Anders Hansson about making post-pandemic music and their interest in vintage electronic gear.
It's not a retro thing. It's just a case of liking how, some of those sounds and
right.
And honestly, in the beginning, when we've been doing music for quite a lot of years, so nowadays those instruments can be quite expensive.
Right.
When we started out, that's what you could afford to buy. So my first organ was affordable, and it's the Yamaha YC from 1971 combo organ. And that was, I've never seen it, but someone called me and said, "Hey, I got an organ. You need something to play in our band." It was another band. Right. So it's cheap. Do you want to buy it? Because otherwise you're not going to play in our band. You're going to have something to play on. And I was like, yeah, it sounds good. And I bought it, and I was like, fell in love with it because of the sounds, because it's so different from what you hear. And kind of builds from there. So then you find these little things, and it kind of, I think falling in love with what it sounds is what it's about. Like, this sounds like that, and I really want to I don't have to have the perfect sound, like I don't have to have the perfect clear sound. If there's something in the sound within the instrument itself that really takes, like, it kind of gets you involved, and then you can put that instrument in the front and kind of let it be a voice in itself in some ways.
Yeah. And were there records or anything that kind of stuck in your mind that also kind of fed into that you would listen to when you're younger?
I remember when we started doing music, we were listening to things like the Zombies.
They're still around.
I know. They've been.
I got a press release. They got a new record coming out this month. It's like, oh, great.
It's awesome. I'm happy for them. I see them. I follow their social media, and they look really happy, all of them.
Yeah.
For them, but things like that. But it's hard to say that it's just one record or a couple of records. I think our music is such a melting pot of different genres and different eras and different instruments and whatever. Basically,
but it's a little bit for me. It's the same as well, because when I was like, I have a sore throat, so that's why I'm a little bit.
All right, don't hurt yourself.
But when I was like 15, 16, I wanted to go buy records. I would go to the vinyl section and dig through the 60s and the 70s because you could afford them. It's the same thing. You kind of pick up stuff, be interested, buy it, take it home, and so I mean, when I was 12, I heard Beatles for the first time, and I was sold. I thought that was and I kind of continued to dig in that crates, the 60s, the 70s, and then later on, I wasn't into the 80s for a big while, but then I met you, and you have so much of good 80s influences, so I've learned a lot about 80s music that I've also taken to my heart. So it's a little bit, you could go and just find things and
very good. Well, let's talk about the new record that's coming out. Your previous one came out in 2019. Are You a Dreamer? So is this kind of a lot of people, there's a space in between their records. Their last one was 2019. Their new one's 2023 because of pandemics and all sorts of stuff. Is that the case with you guys as well? What did you do in the interim time?
It was actually the pandemic that came in between. I remember we were working on new stuff in like spring of 20, just at the start of the pandemic, and we actually had a deadline from the record label to bring them a finished album around, I think, summertime, July, something like that, of 20. But we both became very ill in the first wave of the pandemic, and we were feeling the, COVID left its mark, and it took almost I don't know, 8-9 months before we got back to playing music, because it just
we had a kind of post-COVID experience.
Very, very long. So after that, we were listening to the stuff that we've done the previous year, that we were about to, and we felt like some of it was all right, but some of it just felt like, we've been through, because of the pandemic and the whole world shuts down and you get really ill and things like that. It felt like we need to start over or something.
Right. The previous stuff was kind of suddenly irrelevant.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it was of a different time or something. So we kept something, and what we did, I think we started jamming, the three of us, Magnus, who's not on screen now.
Yes. As well. So
we were just playing together. We had some drum machines, and Marleen played organ, or played bass on the organ, and we just did long jams, like 20-30 minute long jam songs, and some of those were edited and made it to the album. So it kind of started there, and I think and we just did it like slowly for as much as we managed at the time. And so otherwise we would have had talked maybe with you.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're feeling better now.
And it would have been a different album.
Yeah. I hear you. I see what you mean. So, well, the album starts off with a track called Out for Magic, and I see that you have a video for it as well. So maybe you can just, since that's kind of the showcase of the album at this point before it's come out, tell me a little bit about whatever you want to, about the songwriting behind it. And the video is pretty cool too, because you got people walking around with bear heads. So
it's us, basically.
I'm sure.
I remember that we wrote, it was written very quickly, and I remember specifically like been listening to things like the Talking Heads,
right?
Maybe their first or second album, like kind of a short up tempo, kind of with guitar driving and like Psycho Killer-esque bass lines, sort of like same kind of rhythm, but this one is faster, and it just came really quickly, and Talking Heads, early The Cure, I remember as well. Were like direct influences on that track. And what else? Just I remember wanting a big fat bass line. Like I wanted a lot of bass, because if you listen to 60s music, the bass is usually not that bassy.
Right.
It's more like treble-ish and maybe more melodic played and things like that. But I wanted to have some a real bass.
Right.
Bass and yeah.
And I think also one thing that changed from where we were with the album we should have done but didn't do,
right.
and what came to you, the direction, is that we really wanted to do a little bit upbeat. We really
up tempo.
Up tempo,
Right.
And from previously albums as well. We wanted to kind of, for our own sake, have fun with up-tempo and kind of go in that direction. It's not what we haven't done so much up-tempo, but for this album, that was something we really aimed for. And Out for Magic, I think, really
and possibly also from listening to things like, you know, like I said, the Talking Heads or things like that, who does a lot of up-tempo energetic stuff. It's still done in our way, I suppose, but
yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah,
but it's filtered through those influences. The video was actually shot like a week before Christmas, and it was the coldest day of this winter. So yeah, it was like
we're not used to snow in South Sweden. We have snow like maybe 3 days a year or something.
Yeah, something like. And this was the coldest day, so we were outside for 12 hours, and we don't really have the clothes for being outside in like sub-zero temperatures for that long. But it was a beautiful day. It was lots of sunshine, and as you can see in the video as well. And there was just we got in touch with those 2 guys who were filming and directing, and they had an idea about me doing that, someone who's looking for something and maybe go out and start digging somewhere for it or what. And we were thinking, you know, the title is Out for Magic, so we felt like it's like we're out looking for it. You know?
Gotcha.
We're actually digging for it, but it's just it's a kind of spin on the title, and we got the idea that we should wear like animal masks
because actors.
No,
we discussed it.
We don't need to act.
We're not going to be like very cool actors. That's not
right.
So they were like, yeah, but could you have some masks maybe? And I've had an idea for a very long time of doing Swedish animals like the bear and the fox and typical Swedish animals in the woods, and do a performance thing, like a show with that. So I was, yeah, we could maybe do a fox, a rabbit, and a bear. And I started to every night for that week. They took some time to do. I would started to put them together.
One mask took like 7 hours to make.
I can imagine. Yeah, they're pretty cool though. Did they keep you warm while you were wearing them while you were shooting the video?
Just paper. No.
Oh dear.
You couldn't really see out of it, and
it was like you turned your head and the mask wouldn't follow.
Oh right. That's. Now I kind of noticed lyrically throughout the album there's a sense of reassuring people. It feels like there's like lines like "You'll be fine," "It's going to be fine." Was that kind of an overarching theme that it was in the back of your mind as you were writing these songs? You're coming out of this pandemic thing, and you're trying to kind of make sense of it and feel like, well, we're back and everything's okay.
I think not like it's not like a theme like that, but I definitely think that when this album was, you know, we came through the pandemic, and this is like us feeling like we're having the back towards it's not our pandemic record, it's the you know, pandemic it's not behind us, but that's how we is thinking. We have to look ahead and put it behind us, kind of. And
and pandemic has also put a lot of perspective to things. I think every one of us have had some experience during the pandemic because it's so unusual. But it gives a lot of perspectives, and I think maybe that's a little bit coming through as well, not on purpose, but it's like I think those kind of little bit of a little bit of soothing or a kind of self, you know, that you're a little bit more forgiving themes in that sense, that you will be fine and it's you know, it's gonna be okay, and just Perpetual Mobile, I think as well has that little bit of feeling. And as well as there is also Looking Forward and I think Fearless, that is a little bit like also kind of a, I don't know, I can't say what it's about really, but it's kind of keeping, you know, basic looking forward and trying to take on let's say vad man ska säga utmaningar, challenges
yeah.
as had, you know, kind of managing those
right.
situations.
Yeah, so it's interesting in a way. It's kind of the pandemic, because it's a common occurrence worldwide. It's kind of it's a commonality, it can bring everyone closer together, because like you say, you're in Sweden, I'm in New Zealand, you talk about it, I know what you're talking about, we all went through it. So yeah. But it's interesting, like in a lot of places it's been very divisive as well. Yeah. So, you know, especially with the politics and all that stuff and the conspiracy theories. Do you have much of that over there?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
It's getting really bad in Sweden. We like to think that we are the sensible ones.
Same here, same problems, yeah.
But I'm amazed how things are going down, really.
And it's amazing how quickly those kind of things just almost became like common knowledge, like lies or conspiracy theory or whatever. It's like, but I don't know. It's like a crisis or whatever you want to call it for many people makes people, I don't know, things are
it makes them unsafe.
And they need to belong somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I guess.
Now you have a tune called Baby Snakes, which shows up early in the album, and it has a line about "You will be fine," but also has a vibe. It kind of reminded me of the Doors, especially "Riders on the Storm" in there, and I'm wondering if you can expound on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I remember. It's funny because this is one of the first tracks I think we did after being ill with and starting again, and I think it was just it's just a 2-chord song, and it was I remember you sat down with the organ and just started playing those 2 chords and started singing that melody, the vocal, which is the main vocal melody, From Nowhere. And we kept that on our iPhone just as an idea, and then I remember we've been listening to a lot of Jamaican 70s dub.
Oh, really? Yeah.
A lot of it, and I remember I had a record on by someone called Joe Gibbs. And you were saying like, wow, this track is really cool. This is like the coolest music ever or something. And I was like, we need to do something like this. So that's how it came about. So it's, but yeah, Riders of the Storm. Wow. Yeah, it's
it didn't occur to me, but it's a great song.
It's an awesome track, really, isn't it? It has a lot, but I see what you mean, because it has like the Fender Rhodes. Kind of descending thing as well. I haven't thought about that before, but now it makes sense actually when you say it.
But that's a great thing about music. I mean, everybody has their own touchstones because of their age and location. I have a feeling I'm a few years older than you guys, so I remember the Doors from listening to them on the radio the first time around. And so, you know, that kind of, as soon as I hear it, anything that sounds like that, it takes me back to there. And I'm sure that happens to you guys and much younger people as well. They'll probably think of it as something from the 90s or something, you know. Yeah, that's Soundgarden.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean,
I like the Doors. So I'm by that.
I listen to Riders of the Storm. I listen to quite often. It's one of those tracks that you never get tired of it.
Yeah. So you mentioned Magnus is the third member of the band. Since he's not here, let's talk about him. How what kind of roles does he play? You two have been together doing this for a long time. So what does he add to the mix?
Yeah, I mean he's been part of the band for many years, but he hasn't been that active in the he's been present when we play live.
Right.
Yeah. So he's been playing bits that we needed a third person to do basically.
Yep.
And but he's
and he's just great at Moog and sounds.
Yeah.
The kind of things he does is, I think, it's kind of special in that he's really good at creating these soundscapes.
Yeah.
So
but he's been recently, like before the pandemic and after now, when we were creating this record, he's been really more involved in, as I said, we were jamming a lot, all three of us, and we created bits and pieces that went on the album, and he was part of that as well. So it's been, I think he has, for the first time as well, some like writing credits on the album as well.
Okay.
So, yes. So he's been very important for the and it's been, it feels like it's this time has almost brought us closer as a band as well, like musically, like it's so easy for us to start playing together, just playing something, and then suddenly, wow, that was great. It happens really easily and really smoothly now. So he is very important.
So when you take this show on the road, when you're going to Austin, when you play live gigs, does it change the music much because of the technically whatever the requirements or the restrictions or whatever, just the way it is from the way you recorded the things?
Well, the main thing is that we're only 3 persons live, so, and we do bring a lot of instruments and tracks on the record.
Okay. Oh yeah.
That's a challenge, but we keep the bass and the drums as a backing tracks, so we're kind of doing things on that, and that is.
I can't imagine you got to take a Mellotron on tour with you.
We actually
but
do,
not the big ones,
but not the there is like a digital Mellotrons these days.
Right. Okay.
So we have one of those, and it's the same sounds, but they are more stable.
Right.
But the thing is that when we write and record, we never think how this has to be performed live.
Right.
So it's always, so when everything is done, then the record is finished, we are always like, how are we going to play this live?
Right.
And we kind of, who's going to play which part or what
part in the song.
So it's usually quite a lot of work getting things to sound okay and not have too much things on the backing tracks, because that's a bit boring as well.
For everybody, you and us.
We want to play the main stuff basically. So
is that what you've been doing a lot lately, is just preparing the live thing for? We
have.
And do you find out new things about the songs and the music when you do that?
Usually. And
they can be performed. I mean, Fearless is going to be.
There is a track from the album called Fearless.
That's going to be quite different.
And we kind of rearranged that completely to make it work when we're playing it. So
right. I noticed that had like a rather lengthy intro on the record. 2 minutes before you get into the meat of the thing.
Yeah. So we'll see how if it works, but it felt good playing it, at least when
we actually like it a lot. Like in the live version, it's like we could have done it like this also. It's kind of a new version, and it's kind of pops out of necessity that we need to figure out how to do it
properly. Well.
Very cool. All righty. Well, I'll let you guys go and prepare for your big South by Southwest shows. It's going to be fun. You'll have a great time down there, and it just stuff is everywhere. And hopefully, it'll turn people onto your music. And if you ever get a chance, come down to this side of the world. We'd love to see you and hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All righty. Enjoy. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.